Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm Lex and I'm an ordinand here at St James and Emmanuel, and I'm bringing our reflection this morning all the way from the sunny Isle of Wight, where I'm currently visiting my parents and having a bit of a rest, which is what the first part of our story is about today, taking some time to rest. Mark describes how Jesus and the disciples have just got back from a missionary expedition, telling people the amazing things that Jesus has been doing. But the disciples just aren't able to be left alone. They're now back with Jesus, and they're being surrounded by people who are in need and desperate to see for themselves the amazing things that Jesus has been doing. It reminds me a little bit of a book that I used to love reading when I was younger, called 5 Minutes Peace. And it's a book about a family of elephants called the Large Family. In this particular book, Mummy Large just wants to take a bath. She wants to take a break from looking after her 3 little children, but doesn't seem to be able to get 5 minutes peace. And long story short, they all end up in the bath together. Now, this story reminds me of what's happening to Jesus and the apostles. No matter where they go, they are being followed everywhere, even though at this point they've crossed completely over to the other side of the sea. As soon as they get out of the boat, there are people there in need and want of their attention. None of them have had a chance to rest, and many of them have been so busy they've not even had chance for a proper meal. But Jesus knows and cares about the disciples and offers to do a very generous thing. He says, "Go and take rest in a deserted place on your own." He knows that if they don't look after themselves properly, then they won't be able to carry out the mission of the kingdom by telling the good news that Jesus brings. Yes, there is a large crowd, but Jesus says, "I've got this." Jesus has this. Go and rest. Now, I wonder how often we forget that actually Jesus still has this, that we are able to go and rest and Jesus can carry on with the mission. Before we go into our next song, I want you to have a think about the last time that you truly stopped to have a rest. If that was a long time ago, why is that? What has been preventing you from taking yourself off to recharge? Is it family pressures, work pressures perhaps, school, university, or societal pressures? And if you're in a good routine of taking time to rest, how could you help someone else get into a good routine of rest? Whilst we have a think over some of those questions, let's worship the Lord together in song. The second part of our reading, Mark is telling us about how Jesus has yet again crossed over the sea to the other side, and still there is a large crowd following him. People that are so excited to see Jesus and have heard the miracles that he has done, that they bring those who are in need of healing. People from all over the region have heard about the hope that Jesus brings and rush to come and see him. Bearing in mind, the internet didn't exist back then. All the news of Jesus would have been spread by word of mouth. And that's what the apostles were doing, sharing this mission. I do like to wonder what the world would have been like if the likes of Facebook and Instagram existed back then. I wonder if they would have had the profound effect that we expect that they would have had, or if they would have been a source of skepticism and fake news. I think the most incredible thing to take away from this part of the passage is how far people came to see Jesus. They heard from the apostles the great things that Jesus had been doing and came from far away with the expectation of being healed and helped, and I'm sure a few of them probably came out of pure curiosity. It made me wonder if, when we tell people about Jesus, whether we make others that don't know him just as excited to meet with him as the people are in this passage. Are we just excited to meet with Jesus now? Would we be willing to travel hundreds of miles to see him, to maybe just catch a glimpse of him? Do we come with the same amount of excitement and expectation? And do we help others to be just as excited as well? Now, these two passages seem to be miles apart from each other, with the first one calling us to rest and this one calling us to get others excited about Jesus. But I think that these two are actually closely linked. Just before Jesus ascended to heaven, he gave the disciples one final instruction that we know as the Great Commission, to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them and teaching them to obey everything that Jesus had commanded them to do. And we are still called to do that. But to be able to do this well, we need to follow the instructions of the first passage, to rest, reflect, and take time out to be refreshed. It makes sense because we all know that we're able to do a better job when we are fresh, when we have rested. We need rest so that we can be excited and share that excitement with others too. So wherever you are and whatever you are doing over this coming week, I pray you find time to be rested so that you can share the excitement of the good news that Jesus brings. Amen.